This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or exclusive Patreon only gameplays, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. This gameplay is dedicated to rare tier patron Christian Roberts. Christian, thank you for your continued support. Brago, King Eternal, versus Aurelia the Warleader, Meren of Clan Toth, and Gallia of the Endless Dance. I'm going to take another attempt at Brago, and... I mean, it's a turn 2 Mystic Remora, thanks to this being a tap land. And then the other stuff in our hand's pretty good. Are we going to draw a lot of cards with Mystic Remora? Yeah, I think we can go slow and keep that. Helps that we are on the play. Alright, and there's a Castle Vantress as well, which enters tapped unless you control an island. Well, that will enter untapped then. We'll go for the Prairie Stream. Then go for Mystic Remora next turn, and we can actually hold up Enlightened Tutor as well, if this comes in untapped. And the first spell of the game is an Elvish Mystic from Go Batman, who is playing Gallia of the Endless Dance, new one from the new Theros set. And Outlaw also going in for a turn 1 play, Burgeoning, so we'll see how many lands they've got in hand. Outlaw is another patron of the channel, playing Meren of Clan Toth. And then we've got ourselves an internet random, eedi-H, I don't know how you say their username, but they are playing Aurelia the Warleader. And Outlaw did have a command tower to play out once the planes hit. Alright, a Lightning Greaves for us. I think we just go for the Castle Vantress. Trigger that Burgeoning again, definitely auto-yield to that. Outlaw going down to 4 cards in hand, but is ahead on mana for it. Yeah, let's just hold up the Enlightened Tutor, and we can have a think about what we want to do with that. A Scrib Ranger comes down. Return a forest you control and tap a target creature. So they bounced the forest back to play it, and then went for the Scrib Sprites instead. So they bounced the land back to their hand and went for Scrib Sprites, a 1/1 flyer, and then a 1 mana 0/2 flyer, which can have its power buffed for 2 generic. So Gallia going down to 4 cards. Gallia no doubt wants to activate Battle Cry and attack in with a lot of stuff so that they can get the card draw going. Oh, the one card you don't want to see in Meren. Spore Frog is one of those real pain in the neck cards. Oh, we get some card draw off of a Cultivate at least. But do not get into another land, unfortunately. The Aurelia player just playing another land and passing the turn. We will go in for the Enlightened Tutor. I'm just thinking Sol Ring at this point to try and keep up with mana. Seems as though we've got a pretty fast game underway. Yeah, so let's just grab ourselves the Sol Ring. And then we can go, I think Lightning Greaves this turn and then hold up Omen of the Sea. Oh, actually we've got the Mystic Remora to think about as well, haven't we? Yeah, I'll definitely pay that and give it another round on the table. Draw into the Sol Ring, we'll get out the Rogue's Passage. Get out the Sol Ring and we'll just take ourselves into Lightning Greaves. That does take us off Omen of the Sea, unfortunately. Forgot about the upkeep on this. But we're setting ourselves up for a Brago with haste. Unfortunately, won't be able to play Brago if we pay for this. So, yeah, perhaps a little bit hasty with this. We can get it back out with Sun Titan later on, though. There is the Gallia of the Endless Dance, along with an Arbor Elf. So down to 3 cards in hand, but they're going to discard 1 at random and draw 2. They discard a Forest at random and they go up to 4 cards. All of this going in at Meren, which, when Spore Frog's in play, you probably ought to. And there's Meren, so they've got the Spore Frog combination online. For anyone who doesn't know, you can sacrifice it to prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. And that will give you an experience counter, which is what they go for, so they'll be able to reanimate that at the end of the turn. Assuming that Meren stays in play, which it will. So Spore Frog comes straight back. And still no plays from Aurelia. They've just played 3 lands, and that's pretty much all they've done this game. We have to pay 2. If we draw into a land, we can still go for Brago. Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, we just go for Omen of the Sea, so let's pay for it once more and try and get some more card draw going. Alright, Supreme Verdict isn't terrible to have either. We need another white source to get it, though. Let's go for Omen of the Sea now then, just in case we get ourselves into a land that we can actually play. We scry 2 and draw a card. Oh wow, and still no lands on top of there, so let's go bottom. And I really like Eco Wellspring, but we need lands, so let's put that on the bottom as well, and there's the land we need. We can shuffle those back around. And I will crack the Prismatic Vista now. And then we just leave things like that, I think. So unfortunately we were quite a few cards away from another land, and our opponents don't seem to be playing into the Mystic Remora as much as I would like them to. Alright, there's one. Ferocity of the Wilds. Attacking non-human creatures get +1, +0 and trample. And that is an enchantment. Alright, and Azorius Signet. Could have played that out last turn if we'd drawn into things in the right order. Now, who are they going after? Yep, continuing to pile in on Meren. There was some damage coming in at us as well, but it doesn't matter anyway because Spore Frog is being activated. Yeah, the turn order really matters here. We'd like the aggro player to be around here somewhere, either here or here, so that they can pile in at Meren. Try and encourage the Spore Frog to be sacrificed, and then freeing up one of these players around this area to pile in some damage. But there's only one player at the table with some aggro on the go at the moment. They discarded Neheb Dreadhorde Champion, by the way, and they're still at 4 cards. An Archfiend of Depravity. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player chooses up to 2 creature cards they control and sacrifices the rest. That is really bad against Gogo's deck here. They want to have a bunch of creatures in play. Then Meren swings back in at Gogo, so it's those 2 against each other so far. Then Meren brings the Spore Frog back. They can switch off our Brago with that, because Brago needs to deal combat damage. A Linvala, Keeper of Silence, that switches off the Spore Frog. That's really good. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated, so we don't have to worry as much about the Spore Frog anymore. So yeah, the Linvala doing a nice job of keeping Spore Frog in check there. We're in the same predicament again. We could pay into the Mystic Remora, hope for a land and get Brago out, but I think I'm just going to forego Mystic Remora. It hasn't really done a whole lot for us. And like I said, we can try and get it back later on. And of course we get into a land that is a tap land though, so yeah, we made the right decision there. Let's grab ourselves a Brago. And I was hoping that we could get down Reflector Mage this turn if we got into a land, but apparently that's not going to happen while we're drawing into these tap lands. But we might be able to get into another one off of Omen of the Sea, so let's just hold off for a second. We'll swing in at... It'll have to be Gogo, unfortunately. Like I said, I was hoping to get down Reflector Mage and bounce the Archfiend. But we need to hit someone, so it's going to have to be Gogo. Brago triggers, we will... Oh, of course, we can untap the Sol Ring, can't we? So that gets us... It does not get us Reflector Mage. It will get us a Signet into Reflector Mage, though, so... Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Omen of the Sea triggers. Again, it's Scry 2 and draw. And still no lands, wow. Thought Vessel can go on the bottom. Detention Sphere on top. We'll just play the Irrigated Farmland. Then let's go Azorius Signet. Play the Irrigated Farmland. And then we'll go for the Reflector Mage to try and help Gogo out, because Archfiend is definitely going to hurt them. And I think we need all the aggro in play that we can to deal with Meren, especially when Spore Frog is on the field. Now a Beast Whisperer coming down from Go-Go, and this is no doubt a creature-based deck, as we can already tell. So they should be drawing a lot of cards there. Luckily we've got the Supreme Verdict to sort them out if they start going crazy on us. Then continuing to pile in at Outlaw with these 4 creatures. Discarding a Treetop Scout. Can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. Blocking the 3/2 Commander with the Spore Frog. That will still get them an experience counter, so they're going to be up to 3. Then it is Eternal Witness. They can get back, not the Spore Frog, they're going for Cultivate, which they can cast. Unfortunately, our Mystic Remora is in the bin now. And it's noteworthy as well that Limvala has switched off the mana dorks as well. So things like bouncing forests and tapping for mana. Yeah, all of these things have been switched off. But if anyone's got a Path to Exile or something like that, then pointing it at the Spore Frog is, well, there's not going to be a better time to do it than when Limvala's in play. They don't have another sack outlet in play at the moment. Oh, a Bruce Tarl. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, target creature you control gains double strike and lifelink. Let's see if they want to swing in with that or not. Does not have vigilance. They are coming in at us, okay. So we'll take a hit for 6. Going down to 33. We're all at roughly the same life total, all apart from the Boros player. We get into a land. Finally, that's good. And then we definitely need to hold up Eerie Interlude, although we won't be able to target our Brago with that. Exile any number of target creatures you control, yeah. That's... might have to take Lightning Greaves out because of things like that. Anyway, we'll swing in Brago towards Meren. And we'll just have to hold back the Reflector Mage. Then Brago triggers, flicker the Reflector Mage in the Omen. And obviously their ETBs trigger again. Now then, Reflector Mage onto Meren I think is okay. But what is the Boros player going to do? Yeah, I'll get rid of Meren here. Because I'm more worried about Meren than the Boros player. But if they keep swinging in at us, then I'll start targeting them. It just draws attention away from Meren, unfortunately. Okay, Chroma's Memorial. I don't mind in the slightest. And I suppose now's as good a time as any to get into that, actually. So let's go Cloud Shift on top and a Chroma's Memorial on top. So we know we've got Cloud Shift on top and we can get into that with the Omen if we want to, I think. Oh no, it's just Scry 2 with that, you don't draw. Alright, well let's go for the Memorial anyway. So we're not holding up the Eerie Interlude, unfortunately, but we can't target our own Brago anyway. We could put Brago in the bin and grab it back with Karmic Guide. So I'm not too worried about losing our commander, plus we've got haste now anyway. The problem with Brago is if you have to play it and then wait a turn cycle to get to attack with it. Satyr Hoplite. That will trigger the Beast Whisperer, and I think it triggers something on Gallia as well. Other Satyrs have +1/+1 and haste, so it's a static ability for Satyrs, not a triggered one. 5 cards in Go-Go's hand though, we might be fast approaching a board wipe here I think. Findhorn Elves as well, going to continue to draw cards and flood the board. Then another Satyr, and that's just got Bestow, so it's a 1/1 for 1. This time discarding at random a Chaos Warp, and everything continuing to go in at Meren. Sound like a broken record, but I do think it's worth getting rid of Meren. So I don't feel too badly for them. Going to block with the Spore Frog. Blocking the Commander with the Eternal Witness, and the Spore Frog is going to block the Elvish Mystic. So knocking Outlaw all the way down to 8. Let's see what Outlaw can do with 6 cards in hand and a lot of mana. A Tooth and Nail, and that is not entwined luckily. Up to 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. They've got 4 cards in hand, so would be really unlucky if they had a combo in hand already. Well, we knew about the Archfiend of Depravity. They've gotten down Sir Comrade as well. So 2 decent bodies, but not good enough to keep from Go-Go going wide on them. Skull Clamp now from the Boros player. They do need some card draw, but they don't have any weak creatures to clamp with that, unfortunately for them. And that's good. The Boros player decides not to swing in. So deciding to just leave us alone, we get into the Cloud Shift. Our only means of card draw is the Omen at the moment. So we have to go in over here, I think. Yeah, their flyers are tapped. Yeah, a lot of flyers this game. We do have the Rogue's Passage to give unblockable if we're desperate, but again, Lightning Greaves is going to hurt us there if we're not careful. So why don't we just go for a Detention Sphere. We'll get rid of the Archfiend of Depravity, and then we can flicker the Detention Sphere because we don't care about this being in play once we've already hit our opponent. And then that will encourage Go-Go to definitely get rid of Outlaw because they don't want to see this trigger at the end step. So Detention Sphere triggers, and this has flying but this doesn't. Yep, so we get rid of that. And then we'll bring it back when we flicker the Detention Sphere. So we'll go in at Outlaw with both of them just because we've got pro-black. Then we managed to hit with Brago, knocking Outlaw down to 4. Then we've got Reflector Mage, Omen, the Rocks, and Detention Sphere getting flickered. So getting a bunch of triggers. Detention Sphere. We'll put Reflector Mage on first. And we'll get rid of that thing because it's going to draw our opponent a lot of cards. Then the Omen of the Sea. And Detention Sphere will bring in the Demon again. And we'll target something else. Let's get rid of this thing because if our opponent's going to have a lot of creatures in play, then it's really going to pile all that stuff in. Oh, but actually, you know what? We put the triggers on the stack wrong. Ugh, didn't pay attention to that. So Omen of the Sea will do even more work for us. We've looked at a lot of cards with that. Okay, Hour of Revelation I might regret getting rid of, but I think I'm going to. We'll go bottom with both of those. Alright, and that is Act of Authority, which will allow us to get rid of Skull Clamp. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to Supreme Verdict for a little while longer, I think. Let's get rid of the Skull Clamp, just while we've got the chance. And then we'll still have mana up for the Castle Vantress for the Scry. And then we'll leave it at that. We've got Eerie Interlude and Cloud Shift held up. So like I said, this puts Go-Go in a tricky spot because they want to get rid of Outlaw, thanks to the Archfiend of Depravity. Because if they don't, then they're going to have to sacrifice most of their creatures. So I would assume that they would swing everything over that way. Looks like that's exactly what they're doing. So they go wide with, at least 4 points of damage, no matter how. This is blocked. Let's see what they discard. Getting rid of Conqueror's Galleon. They're up to 7 cards in hand, by the way. But they've still got that Beast Whisper in hand, so I might want to wait for them to play that out again before we go for the Supreme Verdict. Outlaw goes down. Yeah, you show everyone that you've got Meren and Spore Frog in play. With a bunch of mana, you pretty much have to be taken out. Careless Celebrant now, yet another Satyr. What a shame. The Boros player deciding to just scoop it up there. Yeah, this is what happens when you've got randoms online. Oh well, we'll have to see what happens between the two of us. Apologies if you don't find the outcome of this game all that satisfying. There's only a finite amount of time we've got to play games. Oh, and I didn't go for the Scry either. Act of Authority not going to go for. And we get ourselves into a land. Would have scried that away had I have seen it. Let's shuffle things up. Just get ourselves into a basic island here is alright, I think. Always need to play around Blood Moon if you can. Alright, so what we could do now is go for the Karmic Guide after a Supreme Verdict. I think that's alright. Let's put this in... Where is it? Put it in the graveyard. Reflector Mage will obviously go there as well. Tap the rocks down, ready to untap them. Then we'll go Supreme Verdict. That wipes all the creatures. Then we can go for Karmic Guide. And we'll end up with the same number of creatures that we already had. Grab back our Brago with the Karmic Guide. Make sure that Brago doesn't go back to the bin. And then I'm actually going to leave the Lightning Greaves off it, just so that we can try and hold up Eerie Interlude. So let's swing in with both of these things. And then Brago will flicker the Karmic Guide, the Omen, and the 2 rocks. We've nothing else to exile with Detention Sphere or Act of Authority. So we'll just draw and we'll get back the Reflector Mage, which can't bounce anything, unfortunately. Soul Herder is really good, as is Blade Splicer. Which do I prefer? I think Blade Splicer will get more damage on more quickly, so we'll draw into that. Then we could go in for Blade Splicer now, but we've got haste in place, so I'm just going to hold up the Eerie Interlude. Eerie Interlude is the better card to hold up anyway. Heart's Desire now, creating a human token, followed by Mana Gorger Hydra. Yeah, so we want to draw the game to a close as quickly as possible now. There's no way we can keep up with them on the creature front. A Xantid Worm puts a flyer in the way. Then in response to Karmic Guide's trigger, let's go for the Cloud Shift onto that, because I don't want to pour the mana into it. Probably could pour the mana into it actually, because we don't have much to do in hand. Haven't drawn into our card draw, unfortunately. Not going to pay for that. Alright, there's the Soul Herder. Let's get down this Blade Splicer. Then we need to make Brago unblockable, because there is a Xantid Swarm in the way. And then we'll just swing in with... actually, there's a 4/4 in the way, isn't there? So that's really going to hurt us with regards to piling damage in. Yeah, our opponent might still have us. So no blocks being made there. Brago going to flicker again. I don't think we have any more creatures to grab. No, we don't. So we'll just flicker the Reflector Mage, the Blade Splicer. We'll go Detention Sphere, and Act of Authority can permanently get rid of this thing if we stack everything correctly. And then our rocks and the card draw enchantment as well. Oh, actually, we need to target on the stack with Act of Authority, don't we? Yeah, so luckily that is a May ability. Yeah, so we just go like that. Card draw, Reflector Mage. Can get rid of the Mana Gorger. Act of Authority targets one of our things, but we're going to say no to it. Yeah, that stack doesn't happen the way I thought it did. Blade Splicer gets us into another Golem. Detention Sphere can get rid of this thing. We get another Golem. Now we've got Mystical Tutor and Austere Command on top. I think we go bottom with Austere Command and we can get into the Azorius draw X cards spell with Mystical Tutor. Sphinx's Revelation is the card I'm thinking of. So we'll leave it there. And now next time we flicker the Act of Authority, we can actually get rid of this. Because all the triggers went on the stack at the same time, we didn't have time to target that before it came back in with Detention Sphere. There's that Beast Whisperer again. Followed by Voyaging Satyr. And now there's no flyers in place, so we should be able to push a lot of damage through at this point. We'll go for Mystical Tutor onto the Sphinx's Rev. Just going to let the Karmic Guide go now. I'm hoping that we don't get the board wiped because we've got protection from red. We'll hold up all our mana for the Sphinx's Revelation. Might get down the Soul Herder this turn though. So we'll go in with a couple of Golems and the Brago. They're deciding not to block, so we flicker Reflector Mage, Blade Splicer, Detention Sphere, well, all of the enchantments here. Act of Authority gets rid of their enchantment. We know what Blade Splicer and Detention Sphere do. Trial of Knowledge, that's what we want. So we'll put the land on the bottom, Trial of Knowledge on top. And that's even more card draw for us. They get their flyer back into play. We'll get rid of the Beast Whisperer under the Detention Sphere. Then let's go in for this Soul Herder. Could have actually gotten down the Soul Herder before we flickered the rocks. That would have been a better way to go there. And that way we can flicker the Reflector Mage with Soul Herder. And we'll get rid of the Xantid Swarm. And that'll put plus counter on Soul Herder as well. Hazaret the Fervent coming down now. Don't think they'll be able to attack with that. You need an empty hand, is it? Can't attack or block unless you have one or fewer cards in hand. So, yeah, pretty much an empty hand you need. That Mana Gorger comes back down. Then they're just going to deal 2 damage to each opponent with Hazaret. And discarded the Xantid Swarm with that. They couldn't play it this turn thanks to the Reflector Mage. We'll just tap out here at the end of the turn and go for Sphinx's Rev. Not as big as it would have been had I have thought about the rocks getting untapped. But we'll still draw 4 into X, I think. Yeah, 4 goes into X. Game 4, draw 4. That is Phyrexian Ingester and Deadeye Navigator. These are the bombs that we want to get into. And Trinket Mage is good as well. So let's go Reliquary Tower so we don't have to worry about discards. And I think we just get down this Phyrexian Ingester to try and draw the game to a close. We'll get rid of Hazaret. And then I think we're okay to just swing in with pretty much everything. We'll hold back the Blade Splicer. We'll hold back Reflector Mage. We'll actually hold back Soul Herder as well. Yep, that's okay. And take them down to 0 exactly, so that worked out nicely. Our opponent decided not to block there because I think they saw the writing on the wall. Fair enough that they wanted to draw it to a close. Yeah, not the most satisfying of games, unfortunately, thanks to the Boros player scooping it up. Had they have left it for another turn, they would have seen that we were going to wipe the board, and that might have gotten them back into it, or at least bought them enough time to try and get back into it. But such is Modo, unfortunately. That's why it's so imperative that we've got the patrons to play with. Hopefully you've noticed an up in game quality with the multiplayer videos, so be sure to thank them because it's thanks to them that we can get good quality videos most of the time. Hope you all enjoyed it despite that. Don't forget to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.